Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. I hope I'm this winding down the weekend. It's about 3:30 so on Sunday afternoon. Hope you guys all had a nice weekend. Had a mellow weekend, got sun this weekend, kind of getting the vitamin D stored back up again, and was lazy like I am on most weekends, and I don't have any problem with that. Maybe I should do a course. That would be a good course to do down here. People could come and stay, and I could teach them how to enjoy guilt-free laziness, because I'm never guilty at doing nothing. Anyhow, I was sitting around yesterday afternoon doing a video. What was I doing? Oh, I think it was when I was making up that smoothie video, and I just got to thinking about something. I was thinking about this. Now, let me ask you something. How many times have you said this, or has somebody said this to you? And I would imagine, I know that I've done both. I've said it and I've heard it multiple times throughout my life. It's coming up on a meal time, whether you're with your family or with friends or whatever, and it's like two common questions that people say, well, what do you feel like eating? What do you feel like eating? Or what are you in the mood for? Now think about those two questions. They're a little bit ridiculous, the way that we think about, or the way that I think about things now. Now, if people actually meant that the way that, in a certain way, what do you feel like eating? Okay, I could understand that. If you're talking about it in the sense of, okay, listening to my body, blah, 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 blah. But what are you in the mood for? What the hell now that you think back, or now that I think back, after living on this style for some 3.5 years, what in the hell kind of question is that? That's almost like, that's when you're using food for a purpose other than feeding your body. That's kind of what Tanny Raw calls toys. That's like when you're looking to ooh, what's gonna comfort me? What's gonna taste good? And then another little thing that we hear probably a lot of time as raw vegans. I even hear it sometimes, not necessarily in a hostile manner from people, but people saying, man, that lifestyle, that's really extreme. And, I would say, that's a valid statement for somebody that hasn't done it. That's a valid statement for somebody that doesn't understand the process, that hasn't been through it. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit today, and this might actually help some people that are new to this lifestyle, or that even might help some people kind of evaluate things that maybe have struggled or have not had the results on this lifestyle that they would like to have. As I was making that smoothie yesterday, I think I had this thought on something else too. It's not just about the smoothie. I'm not even sure it was about the smoothie, but as I was putting something together, I just was thinking like how, well, number one, how my tastes have changed as I've been on this raw vegan lifestyle. As I've gotten clean, I feel like my palate's cleansed out, my body's cleansed out, and my body just tends to ask for and crave different things. In other words, what brings me pleasure, or what I even consider comfort food now, is pretty much healthy stuff. Like my comfort food, now that, like if you can get to that point, then you're just cruising, folks. When you can get to the point where your comfort food is healthy, and it's pretty much, it may not be, let's say you're shooting for 100%, your comfort food's 98. And the reason that is, and the reason I think a lot of people even doing this lifestyle don't understand, is because they're not there yet. They may not even be where they think they are. As I've cleaned out, I look at food a whole different way. I'm not necessarily, used to it. Used to be like, okay, and hey, I'm not saying, once again, I don't want to scare people off or make them think, wow, you're a freak, you don't even care about taste. Yeah, you're always looking to make things tasty as possible, but what you consider tasty has changed. And the purposes of food is the biggest thing that's changed, and that's why I titled this one, looking at food differently. It's just, I see things, like I see the food, I don't mean I sit down and do formal visualization. When I use the word visualization, I'm using it rather loosely, but when I'm eating food, or when I'm putting together food, I think I'm visualizing that food going, into my mouth, going through my body, and what that food's doing for my body, as opposed to before, where it was all about taste. It was all about that pleasure, taste, and it was all about like, okay, is this the exact taste? Am I in the mood for salty today? Am I in the mood for this? Am I in the mood for that? When I'm finished, am I going to be satisfied? And even satisfaction has changed, you know, because in the past we always used to joke. I mean, I've used the word food coma with pride, you know, like, oh my God, I ate so much, I'm in a food coma. You can't get up, you can't do anything. So that is not, whereas before that might have been a desirable feeling after a meal for me, now that is like a negative result. I do not want to feel like that. So I'm always looking at my food like, how's it going to make me feel? What's it doing for me? Is it nutritious for my body? Am I getting something out of this food? And I think that little awareness right there actually kind of I don't know if it tricks the brain I don't know if it necessarily tricks your taste buds, tricks the brain or whatever, but that food is enjoyable and pleasurable to me just by the fact of knowing what it does to my body. Because I don't look at food as just some superficial type thing that we put in our mouth 3 times a day to somehow satisfy ourselves and to play to the pleasure principle 100%. I look at food as something that will sustain my body, that will nourish my body, that will give me the best health I can possibly get, and that will, you know, keep me going like that throughout the years. Because it's not all about longevity. It's about longevity, yes, but it's about what kind of years. If you're extending your life, you know, how are you feeling? You don't want to live just to live. You know, if you live to 95 and the last 20 years you're on the couch, can't move around, and you're taking tons of pills, well, you're just kind of like you're surviving. You're not really living. But that's, you know, like I say, that's the way that things have just changed for me. And if it hasn't, like, work towards that, because I'm telling you, it gets easy when you don't have those strong desires anymore. Now, like I say, I get them every once in a while. I'm trying to always think like how I can be as real and how I can be as transparent and share as much. Like last night, I'm laying in bed watching Netflix. No, I'm not Netflix. I didn't Netflix and chill. I've learned that term now. Oh, and by the way, if you were to say, I'm going to Netflix and chill by myself tonight, does that insinuate masturbation or something? I don't know, but anyway, I was watching a movie, and you know, sometimes you're watching a movie, it was 2 or 3 hours after dinner, and I was getting a little hungry. I'm sure I wasn't, you know, was it real hunger? No, I could have easily made it through the night without eating anything, but I wanted something, and it was after, you know, my normal time. So what I do, I make myself, I got 2 packages of mango in the freezer, and I make myself some mango ice cream, you know, for dinner. So, as I was eating that ice cream, I was very aware of the thought and of the feeling that, like, and I tried to compare it in my mind. I was laying in bed watching a movie, but thinking, I was trying to compare this to the most decadent ice cream or sweet that I used to like in the past, and like just throwing it out there. I wasn't a huge ice cream person. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my God, I just got this thing to die for. But I would get in those phases, and I liked to get chocolate cookie dough ice cream. Or it would always be something, just the nastiest version with so many different things in there that you could think of. But as I was eating and really paying attention to that mango ice cream, and this was particularly good mango, I should admit, not all mangoes are created equally. I'm like, this is the best taste on the planet. This is the best dessert on the planet. I don't desire anything else at this point. I don't desire any of the, you know, even any of the gooey raw vegan desserts. Except there's one raw vegan dessert that's in my head right now. I even told her about this. Erin Valentine, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, from Southern Fruity. She did a raw vegan pecan pie in her recent recipe book for the holidays, and that pecan pie, holy crap. Like I say, I don't get into any of the raw vegan desserts, but that was off the hook. I might have to break down and see if I can get one of those. But anyhow, the point being is everything changes. And if it hasn't changed for you yet, that might be an indication for you about where you are on your journey, because as you get further down your journey, you shouldn't have to fight so hard. You should not have to deal with the cravings so hard. And you know, if you've been doing this lifestyle for about a year and you're still major struggling and major fighting your cravings every day, I'm not going to tell you any specific things because everybody's different, but you got to look to some different methods. You got to look to something new, because you shouldn't be struggling that much. You shouldn't, you know, even if you're doing a slow, getting cleaner and cleaner, you're getting cleaner all the time, and you should see, you should see already notice little changes. You may not be to the point, you know, where I'm talking about yet, where I can see some things that, you know, even a year and a half ago would not have appeared tasty to me, and they are now. Anyhow, like, yeah, this raw vegan lifestyle has just totally changed the way I think about food, and I can be very analytical and stuff about it now, because I do. I'm like a robot. I just see food, I see what it does for my body, what it does to my body, and that's the #1 thing, and I hope to keep evolving with that. So is it extreme? I don't know. Anytime I think of something that's a person doing something extreme, it takes great effort to do something extreme. And this, I put next to 0 effort into doing this lifestyle. The preparation, yes, but staying on the lifestyle, no. Anyhow, hope you guys like this video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Hope you'll subscribe to the channel, and hope you have a wonderful week. I love you guys, and I really appreciate you watching all the time. Peace.